POV. You are the cartel's IT guy. You built your first computer at 13, from parts you bought at a flea market in Guadalajara with 3 weeks of saved lunch money. Nobody taught you, you just understood it, the logic of it, the way every system has rules, and if you learn the rules well enough, you can make the system do anything you want. You got a scholarship, computer engineering, full ride. You graduated top of your class. Your thesis was on encrypted network architecture. Your professor called it the most sophisticated student work he'd seen in 20 years. You are 27 years old. You work for a cybersecurity firm in Monterrey. You earn 48,000 pesos a month. You have a small apartment, a good laptop, a plant on your windowsill that you somehow keep alive, and a girlfriend named Sophia who thinks you're gonna change the world. You probably are. Today, you are him. Act 1. The ordinary world. Your job is to find the holes before the criminals do. That's literally what penetration testing is. You get paid to think like a hacker, break into your client's systems, and then write a report telling them exactly how you did it so they can fix it before someone with worse intentions finds the same door. You're good at it. Better than good. In 3 years, you've found vulnerabilities in banking systems, government infrastructure, hospital networks, real vulnerabilities, the kind that in the wrong hands could have caused genuine damage. You found them first. You closed them. You went home. Your boss calls you El Fantasma, the ghost, because you move through systems without leaving a trace. You take it as a compliment. It is one. Sophia is a graphic designer. You met at a rooftop bar in Colonia Roma when she spilled a drink on your jacket and offered you to design you a new one. You have a photograph on your desk, both of you laughing, her hand on your face, taken the day she moved in. You look at it every morning before your screen turns on. You want to start a firm, your own, security consulting for mid-sized companies. You've run the numbers. You need 2 more years of savings and 3 solid client relationships. You tell Sophia this on a Tuesday night over takeout. She listens carefully, asks the right questions, and says, 2 years is nothing. We can do 2 years. That conversation is the last completely clean moment of your life. You just don't know it yet. 1 week later, a message arrives through a professional forum. Private message. Anonymous account, but technically sophisticated. Routed through 3 nodes, clean metadata. Whoever sent it knows what they're doing. The message says, I have a project. Unusual requirements. Budget is not a constraint. If you're interested, meet me Thursday. I'll find you. You almost don't go. You tell yourself you're going out of curiosity, intellectual curiosity, the technical sophistication of the message itself, the routing, the clean metadata. That's just interesting. You're not agreeing to anything. You're just going to listen. You wear a jacket. You take the metro so there's no car to track. You think about security protocols the entire way there. That is the invisible line. Not Thursday, not the meeting, not anything said in it. The invisible line was the moment you decided the routing was interesting. The man who meets you doesn't look like what you expected. He's mid-40s, clean haircut, rimless glasses. He looks like a university administrator or mid-level government official, the kind of man who carries a leather portfolio and drinks his coffee black. He introduces himself as El Contador, the accountant. He says it without any drama, the way someone might say their name is Carlos. He slides a folder across the table. Inside is a network diagram. Complex, sophisticated, multi-layered encryption with some architecture you recognize and some you don't. This network has a problem, he says. We need someone to find it and fix it. 3 days of work. We'll pay 200,000 pesos. You look at the diagram. Your brain is already working, already tracing the architecture, already seeing 2 potential weak points in the 3rd layer. You can't help it. It's like showing a chess player a mid-game board. The pattern recognition is automatic. What kind of organization? You ask. He looks at you with something that isn't quite patience and isn't quite impatience. the kind that pays 200,000 pesos for 3 days. You sit with that for a moment. 200,000 pesos is 4 months of your salary. It's a significant percentage of the savings you need for the firm. It's 2 years compressed into 3 days. You think about Sophia. You think about the plan. You think about the rooftop, the spilled drink, the photograph on your desk. One job, just the network issue. He nods. He already knew you'd say yes. That's the part you won't understand until much later. He already knew because men like him have made this offer before, and men like you have done this math before, and the math always comes out the same way. That was the last easy decision you ever made. The competence trap. The network is magnificent. You don't want to think that, but it's true. Whoever built it was talented, genuinely talented, and had clearly studied the same frameworks you had, gone down the same rabbit holes, read the same obscure white papers on distributed encrypted communications. There's architecture in here you've only seen theorized in academic papers. The problem they need fixed is a timing vulnerability in the authentication layer. A sophisticated adversary, a government agency with the right tools, could theoretically use traffic analysis to map communication patterns even without breaking the encryption. It's subtle. Most people would never find it. You find it in 4 hours. You fix it in 2 days. The solution is elegant, a randomized delay protocol that breaks the timing patterns without degrading performance. You're proud of it before you remember you shouldn't be. El Contador pays you in cash, delivered to a location you were texted that morning. You carry 200,000 pesos home on the metro in a gym bag and sit on your apartment floor staring at it for a long time. You don't tell Sophia where it came from. You say a corporate client paid a consultation bonus. She hugs you and says, "See, 2 years is nothing." The systemic excuse arrives on schedule, the way it always does. The network existed before you touched it. You didn't build anything harmful. You patched a vulnerability. That's literally your job. If you didn't fix it, someone else would have. Someone worse. Somewhere in Sinaloa, a communication network used to coordinate the movement of several hundred kilograms of product per week is now significantly harder for federal authorities to monitor. You fixed that. You made that happen. With the same hands that built your first computer from flea market parts at 13. But you don't think about it that way. Not yet. 3 weeks later, El Contador calls again. There's another project. This one pays 350,000. If you were this good at something, genuinely this good, and someone offered you this much to keep doing it, where exactly is the line? Think about that. Be specific. Because somewhere is not an answer. Somewhere is how you end up here. The projects come in steadily, each one more technically demanding than the last. You build a secure communications system for field operatives, encrypted, self-destructing messages, impossible to intercept without physical access to the device. You architect a network that routes financial transactions through 17 jurisdictions in under 3 seconds, leaving a paper trail that would take a forensic accountant 3 years to untangle. That last one takes you a long time to start. You sit at your laptop for almost an hour before you open the design file. Then you build it in 2 days because the technical problem is genuinely interesting, and your brain doesn't know how to be uninterested in a genuinely interesting problem. That is the trap. Not the money, not the fear. The trap is that the work is good. You buy a better laptop, matte black, 64GB RAM, the kind of machine that costs as much as a used car. You upgrade your apartment, better neighborhood, 15th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the city at night. Sophia calls it the City of Lights and stands at the window sometimes just looking at it. You have an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak that you wear to meetings. You bought it because El Contador wore one, and you told yourself it was professional, that clients in this world respond to signals of status the same way corporate clients do. You believe this when you say it. That's how good the rationalization is. The comparative excuse arrives naturally. Every tech company in the world builds tools that get used for things they didn't intend. The people who built the encryption you're using right now, you think they knew every use case? You're a contractor, a specialist. The client does with the work is the client's business. You even believe it for a while. Then one evening, working late, you're doing routine maintenance on a server and you accidentally open a directory you weren't supposed to access. It contains logs, operational logs, names, locations, timestamps. You close the directory in 4 seconds. You don't read it carefully. You tell yourself you saw nothing. But you saw enough to understand, completely and permanently, that the network you built and maintain doesn't just move product, it moves orders, instructions, decisions. You pour a drink, you pour another one. You sit at your floor-to-ceiling window looking at the city of lights, and you think, I built the nervous system of something that ends people's lives. You don't quit. And that is the moment you should examine most carefully, because that is the moment the person you used to be actually left.
The cost begins. Sophia notices first. Not the money, she's been happy about the money in the uncomplicated way people are happy about security. What she notices is smaller and worse than that. She notices that you check your phone differently, that you angle your laptop screen when she walks by, that sometimes in the middle of a conversation you go somewhere else and come back without explanation. Where do you go? She asks one night, not accusatory, just asking, the way you ask someone you love a question you're not sure you want answered. Work stress, you say. The new clients are demanding. She nods. She wants to believe you. You can see that she wants to believe you, which is its own kind of unbearable. You start sleeping badly. Not traumatically, no nightmares, no cold sweats, just a low-level inability to fully go under. You lie next to Sophia in the dark, and your brain keeps running diagnostics, checking the network, reviewing the architecture, looking for vulnerabilities the way you used to look for them in other people's systems, except now the system you're auditing is your own life, and you keep finding the same flaw, and you don't know how to patch it. You have a ritual. Every Sunday morning, while Sophia sleeps, you make coffee and stand at the window and give yourself permission to think about quitting. You run the scenarios, save enough to disappear, move cities, build the firm somewhere they can't find you. Mexico City, maybe Bogota, maybe further. Then you think about what you know, the directory you weren't supposed to open, the architecture of a network that, if you described it to the right authorities, would be extraordinarily useful to them. And you think about what organizations like this do with people who know things and decide to leave. You finish your coffee. You go back to bed. You don't quit. You tell yourself it's for Sophia, for the future, for the firm that's almost funded now, almost real. The protective excuse is the most comfortable one because it sounds the most like love. At what point does protecting the people you love start to look exactly like abandoning them? You never ask Sophia that question out loud, but she's starting to ask it about you. The day she finds the second phone is a Thursday. It's not suspicious in the way phones in movies are suspicious. No messages, no photographs, nothing incriminating on the device itself. It's clean, technically, but it exists, and she doesn't know about it, and there is no version of a second secret phone that belongs in the apartment of someone with nothing to hide. She puts it on the kitchen counter and stands next to it and waits for you to come home. You walk in, you see her face, you see the phone. You could explain the phone, you could construct something plausible, a work requirement, a client confidentiality protocol, something that has enough technical complexity to be confusing. You've gotten good at technically true explanations that aren't actually true. But you look at her face and you just can't. Not her. Not that face. So you say nothing. The silence is its own kind of answer. She picks up her keys and says, "I'll be at my sister's." She says it quietly, the way you say something you've been preparing to say for a long time. She doesn't cry. That's the part that stays with you.
She'd been expecting this for long enough that the tears were already gone. 8 months after Sofia leaves, a contact inside the federal police, a man El Contador introduced you to, a man you've done minor technical favors for, sends you a message with no text, just an attachment. It's a file. Your file. The Unidad de Inteligencia Financiera has been building it for 14 months. They have your real name linked to 3 shell companies they've identified as cartel infrastructure. They have financial flows. They have a technical analysis of network architecture that a government expert has described in the document is bearing the distinctive methodology of a trained penetration tester. They don't have your face yet. They have everything else. You read it twice. Then you sit very still for a long time. The contact's message comes through 10 minutes later. They're getting closer. The organization knows. They want to meet. You understand what the meeting means. You have built their most sensitive infrastructure. You have, living in your memory, the complete architecture of a communications network that connects cartel leadership across 4 states. You know things that would be useful to prosecutors and catastrophic to the organization. They cannot let that walk around unsecured. The meeting is an assessment. Are you manageable? Are you loyal? Can they trust the investment they've made in you? And if the answer to any of those questions is wrong, not wrong in a way you can explain, wrong in a way they sense, because men who have survived this long have very good instincts, then the meeting is something else. You think about cooperating with the Unidad de Inteligencia Financiera. You have a contact, a lawyer you've never met, whose number you've kept in an encrypted note for over a year, like a fire extinguisher you hope you never use. You could call, you could walk in, you could put everything on a drive and hand it over. Then you think about 3 things, in this order. The directory you weren't supposed to open, the names in it, the fact that those names had families. The story El Contador told you once without being asked about a technician in Culiacan who decided federal protection was safer than organizational loyalty. They found him in Sonora 8 months later. His laptop was with him, wiped. His hands were not attached to his body. And Sofia, at her sister's, living a normal life, going to work, coming home, not knowing that the man she loved for 3 years built the infrastructure for something that would horrify her, not knowing that her safety, right now, is partly a function of whether that man stays quiet. 2 doors, both of them lead somewhere terrible. Which one do you choose? Closing. Here is what you have. An apartment on the 15th floor with a view of the city that costs 28,000 pesos a month. A watch that tells people you've arrived somewhere before you say a word. A laptop that is the best of its kind. A savings account with enough to start 3 firms in 3 cities under 3 different names. Technical skills so specific and so rare that 2 of the largest criminal organizations in the country would consider your continued existence a priority concern. Here is what you don't have. Sofia, the plant on your windowsill, dead 6 weeks after she left because you forgot to water it. The plan, the 2 years that were nothing. The version of yourself that built a computer from flea market parts and thought the whole point was to understand things. On your old laptop, the one before all of this, there is a folder called Firma, the firm, business plan, project projections, logo drafts Sofia designed for free one Sunday afternoon when you told her about the idea. She made 5 versions. You told her the 3rd one was perfect. She printed it and framed it as a joke and hung it in the kitchen. You don't know if she took it when she left. You haven't been able to go back to that kitchen to check. She spent 3 hours on a logo for a company that was never going to exist, and you let her. He never hacked anyone who didn't deserve it. Every system he touched was technically already criminal infrastructure. Every vulnerability he found would have been found by someone else. He just found them first. That's the part that should stay with you.